The government has vowed to banish the bucket system by year end, but on January 1, 2008, there will remain many South Africans who have no choice but to use this foul and undignified system of sewage disposal. Briefing the media at Parliament on Tuesday, the 15th of May, Minister of Water Affairs and Forestry, Lindiwe Hendricks, said that while her department is on track to rid formal settlements of this bucket system by December the 31st, there are still 15.3 million people without access to basic sanitation services. Instead of flushing toilets, more than 1,000 houses in Grahamstown use unhygienic back garden bucket system toilets. This kind of toilet has a bucket placed underneath the toilet seat, and the bucket is emptied regularly by sewage workers.
I go right to my toilet. I go right. Sometimes we figure very early, but we go 3:30. Sometimes we figure a mean. Ihambela lori nkulu ime up phume ke lo bucket lokubekwa pha. Into endingayithandiyo sometimes bayawangenisa amabhakthi bangenisa ibhakthi elimdaka. Loo nto ke ngonje ke yenza ismell esigqithileyo ingabi right.
Maladministration and provincial red tape has caused a massive backlog of housing and sanitation provision in the Makana area. At a mayoral imbizo held at the BB Zondani Hall on the 10th of May, residents berated the council for lack of services.
Close the gap between the councillors and the community. Because we have a very informal settlement, which is about a transit camp, for example. Part of the bucket system was about a toilet. My cousin must correspond. No, getting like a digging Google that in the city, the bucket system, I tell it's our pellet bucket system with formal settlement. Straight was a band was our cooler, so the pellet bucket system. By the end of 2007.
Kulo mcimbi wamabhakethi sithetha ngokuphela ukanyaka ka-2007. Kodwa urhulumente uthi masiqale ukususa amabhakethi kwezi ndawo eziformal qala. Nakwezi ndawo zi-informal kuthiwa masingawavumeli amabhakethi abekhona. Kungcono senze kwa ezi latrines nuba senze amabhakethi.
Despite the previous deadlines to replace the bucket system in South Africa, there are still 230,000 functioning buckets serviced nationally. The alleged deaths of workers in sewage or sanitation departments nationwide has raised questions as to whether the nature of the job and the deaths are closely related.
We are aware at Botshabelo in the Free State in the late 90s, early 2000s, that there were a large number of women involved in the bucket system working under very hazardous conditions without any preventive programs or protective measures like what we call PPE, personal protective equipment, gloves, overalls, boots, aprons, masks, and facilities for cleaning themselves during and after work. And the report we had was that a large number of women, I think it was 11, over about 18-month period, had died.
Umsebenzi ongathandeki ngoba umsebenzi ongcolile umdaka toilet yabantu ituwa yabantu esiyithuthayo kodwa ke uyagulisa nokugulisa lo msebenzi njengoba abanye bake esibhedlela bane-DP kade yenzeka loo nto ukuba siyiswepha uba siyokhwehlela kodwa nalapho ibingancedile ngoba bezingabuyi ingxelo ezitsho ukuba wena uphilile okanye wena ubona into ethile kuwe nabane-TB umuntu uzibonela nje uba sikagula aziyele kugqirha wakho ekliniki engave eboniswa into betshekishwe phaa emsebenzini.
The storage workers especially, they are working under bad conditions most of the time because they are exposed or vulnerable to different kind of diseases. Like for instance, it's easy for them to get TB, a rash on their skin because of the nature of the job that they're doing.
Sebenzisa igloves pha bamasibambe lapha ne-avaroni lesizinekwako ne-gumboots xa kunetha sinezikhwehle naleya nto okufaka apha emlomeni ayiphefumulisi kamnandi iyafuthanisela so ke ngoba sisebenza ngokukhawuleza pha lo msebenzi siyawukhawulezisa uba uthi kusa ube sowuphelile. Ndafika apha kuthiwa umsebenzi wamabhaca abantu abasuka ngapha ngenxa yantoni abantu balapha babewucekisa bengawufuni yabo bexolela ubomuntu asikangaphangeli noba ke ngoku sesinabo ngoku sebewufuna ngoku sekufana ke ngokuba ngoku sekunzima uba ungathatha umuntu ngapha uzomfaka apha ngoba bayawufuna bona kuqala yaphela laa nto uba kuthiwe abantu abathile qha abo ke nalabo abantu abagezayo umuntu mhlawumbe uxelela uba umzekelo maniphayelolini uxelela uba mhlawumbe niyayidla nokuyidla le tuwale into ezinjalo.
The stigma that's attached to the job means that people look down on them and the work that they do. In communities, they talk of kids throwing stones or calling them names. When we spoke with bucket workers, we spoke a lot about the vulnerability of their work and violence in communities and the extent to which they were often exposed to that violence. We also witnessed anger from community members directed at the bucket workers because of where people were living, how they were living, and the poor services.
Yona incane yona ngomsebenzi manje icinga ngomsebenzi kwaye ndithelekisa nezinye indawo. Uyaba wona ke inenzi ngoluhlobo loba ke noko ingcayi zami noko ndiyakwazi ukuzilungisa ngayo.
The eradication of the bucket system in the formal areas of Grahamstown is still a work in progress.
The municipality has had to start from scratch, like putting your internal sewers before actually eradicating the bucket itself. We've left with two areas currently. Your two major ones being Extension 7 and the Joza, which is called Makanoscope Central. Those large numbers lie within those areas.
There are problems in the local councils, one doesn't deny that. A lot of councillors don't know how to do their job. Many of them, for no fault of their own, are not fluent in the language in which all the documentation is produced. And so one finds interesting typographical errors about pubic investment is considered to be necessary in the area. I find it highly irresponsible when the president, who lives in very secure accommodation, and other heavyweight politicians who are very rarely seen in these parts, talk about local councillors being inefficient and incompetent and lazy and all the rest, when it's the province which is failing to pay its way, and in some cases the national government as well.
At his State of the Nation address, President Thabo Mbeki stated that we are on course to put an end to this dehumanizing system in these areas by the end of this year. The question on many people's lips is, will the deadline be met?
Bathi baza kutrayisha ukuba basenzele itoilet ezingaphandle ingabe iphindi ibhakithi bekhona. Asazi ke sisahleli sisalindile kudala silindile akude sikene kude kwakhiwa.